Jason, I think would be more appropriate for his objections are certainly, you know, if he wants to put them on the record, that's fine. We would have liked to have finished our case. A lot of what he's talking about is part of the evidence that we have here.
Well, we asked him to come forward.
Oh, I know you did. Yeah,
let him finish, and then if you can answer his questions in your case, then they'll answer his questions.
So with respect, the biggest piece that I'm coming against is the fact that I can't have my legal representation even review a narrative because it doesn't exist. So I don't know all the details, and I know that you're going to give some here, which is helpful, but those need to be submitted with a proper application. Okay, so under sections B, 1 through 5, none of these have been met, and one of them must be met. If we can walk through each one now, or would the supervisors like?
No, for those items, he is going to present his case and go step by step on which items they meet. And maybe you can write down if you disagree with one of them and come up later on that. Obviously, he's going to object to your saying that they don't need this, this, and this, because I'm sure that's not his position, it's just your position.
Sure, but under the conditional use statement that's under the conditional use application guidelines that are in the ordinances, it says that those have to be set forth within his narrative.
So then he's right that he should make his presentation first, and then you can, anything that you can check off, and you can come up and
but we can't have this meeting. We can't have this meeting without that narrative being submitted, because a hearing cannot be scheduled until the narrative has been submitted.
Well, that's been done. I know you may disagree with it, but
I have documentation from the director of planning that that has not been done.
Not relative to this location.
I've submitted to you, sir, respectfully, the documentation that says that the director of planning states to me that that has not been met. It's clearly stated.
And he's right, because I haven't seen it.
Bruce, did you submit that?
I think there was a review letter, Mr. Dan. There was a review letter that was created as part of this, and that was one of your comments, right?
That's correct. I mean, there were a number of different copies. I wrote a letter on April 21st, and I basically, when I review a conditional use, all I'm doing is reviewing to make sure that the application is complete, or if there's things that needed to be added to it. And I enumerated in that letter all the things that needed to be completed. Crown responded to that. I don't know when this response came in, but I just received it. It's dated May 2nd. There's a Crown response to all that, which I figured they were going to do tonight to explain all this.
That response was a result of my phone call, I think, on Friday to the Crown representatives.
Okay.
At which time we received that.
Which Crown do you prefer?
May or June?
Crown.
No, when did you receive it?
This past Friday, the 3rd of June.
But it's backdated then. It's backdated to May 2nd. We only received it on Friday too, Thursday.
I mean, with all due respect to the township, I gave notice 5 days ago, and I've been calling Mr. Bosley many, many times, and only today when we talked to his assistant Liz, who was extremely helpful, was I able to get even a confirmation that my notice had been given. But I did give it 5 days ago. It's dated on the email that the narrative had not been. And I asked for a postponement of this, so we didn't have to waste everybody's time.
Did we reject the application?
No, we did not.
Okay. So we advised them of some shortcomings and they supplemented their response?
Yeah.
That's correct, yes. I mean, but that came in late. I mean, it's been...
So we got it late Friday. We were able to review it, send it back to them, and got a response from them.
No, there was a letter dated April 21st that enumerated all the deficiencies in the application related to the conditional use. The response to that April 21st letter was received by our office on June 3rd. So I don't know what's been
Have
going
you
on.
had a chance to review it?
Just briefly before the meeting tonight.
But not in detail.
That's correct. And all I'm trying to do is make sure that.
I'm not blaming you, I mean, you can't.
No, there's no blame. All that we try to do, I mean, it's typical with any conditional use that they submit documents, and if there's anything missing, we ask them to provide that additional information. In this case, that information didn't come until this week. So I don't know what John's responses to that is.
Well, here, Chris, on that submittal, normally when we get that information, we have a hearing scheduled. If there's additional things our engineers ask for, obviously, if we don't have it at the hearing, it becomes part of the condition that we need to have that before we make a determination. So how do you feel?
Before the hearing, though, when we don't have all the information.
Well, what I would suggest is let's move forward, and if we don't think we have enough, we continue to hear it to a later date.
No, you're missing the point. You have to give 30 days. So you have to have those documents in order. A proper application has to be filed. You have to give public notice. So you can't have given proper public notice because you didn't have a complete application.
What section are you saying?
1 second. Okay, so I'm referring to Part 4 of Section 401, Item B, which states that Board of Supervisors needs to give 30 days prior to hearing meeting by which application must be filed. And there's clear stipulation, an application requiring public hearing or meeting will not be scheduled for such hearing or meeting unless filed in proper form and number and containing appropriate fees and all required information. If you look at the packet that was submitted for today, Crown, by their own admittance, has left a blank for the last item in the checklist. It says something about to be done or that someone else will take care of that. It's on the checklist, so Cecil Township conditional use application. Does everybody have a copy of that? The last item, a narrative statement describing the proposed conditional use and so on, is an unchecked box, and it says Mike Vicky.
Chris, should the position be that we need it for the hearing or we need it prior to the hearing?
I mean, my position is that with respect to the filing deadlines, there are waiver provisions in Part 3 and Part 4. So if the board wants to move forward, I believe we are authorized to do so.
Can you point to those?
Subparagraphs 3 and 4, right under 401B.
Emergency, unique, or unforeseen circumstances. I guess I'm confused as to what the emergency, unique, or unforeseen circumstances are.
Right, I'm just explaining to the board if they determine that it is one that falls under that discretion and would like to move forward. We can move here.
I can't speak for the board, but if we don't have the complete information, we're being challenged on it. We need to close this hearing and reopen it once Crown has submitted all necessary application information. I wasn't aware prior to sitting down this evening that everything wasn't received. Otherwise, this hearing, in my opinion, should have been postponed.
Anybody else have any?
I agree.
I do. For Chris, wasn't there something else that came up recently that was, we have a date, the clock's ticking when it's submitted. And my challenge was that it should not be clicking until everything is submitted completely. But the way the law read that, when they submitted, so the May 2nd would have been a ticking clock, so we would have to have an answer within how many days?
For a new tower, the decision must be done within, I think it's 150 days of the application.
When was the application originally submitted?
I thought they used the May 2nd date for,
I thought it was April.
It was in April.
The application is dated 3/29/16.
So we have, my position would be that we close this hearing and only open another one once we have all information.
Dan or Bruce, I'm respecting your position. Is there any information that we do not have at this time?
Fortunately, I'm going to have to defer to Dan because of the review letter that was about to be prepared.
I can tell the board is that we've received responses, and again, my determination here is I don't have really an opinion on these aren't engineering comments, but we've received responses to all the things that were pointed out that were missing in their application, and we could ask them to go through these one by one. And that's a part of the hearing. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to show us that they comply with how they comply with all the requirements of the ordinance.
Can I see a copy of that?
The crown letter, sure.
I just want to see what it is.
Chris, I think part of the objection is that it wasn't time and he didn't have a chance to review things that prior to the hearing also.
That's correct.
As a
I
interesting
still,
resident.
I mean, by your own admittance, Dan, you have not fully had the chance to go through all of this. None of us have either. I just don't see how, I mean, we're going to be here until midnight if we have to go through each one of these items one by one to answer any questions. I know, we didn't. She's right. I mean, Elizabeth just said she's right. We didn't even receive a copy of this. I mean, and again, no fault of yours, but,
No fault, thank you.
but, I don't know.
Not blaming you.
No,
No,
nobody
it's-
is.
I'm not taking blame. I don't, it is what it is. We got the information last week, and
I mean,
tonight was the hearing.
you know my opinion on it, so.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? Can the hearing be held and then not completed? Is that part of the process?
No, it can't be scheduled. It can't even be scheduled. The ordinance states it cannot even be scheduled until a proper application has been filed.
Well, I'm possibly,
Sure.
Mr. Sabatino has also told me that he did not receive notice of the hearing. I was the first one to, I called all the neighbors, and I was the first one to alert them of this. And he's been communicating with Crown. I'm not sure how that's gone, but
That came before your testimony. He's not here to say that. That's second.
I mean, I have the document to
it's
show
in
it.
writing. from
It's in
the
writing. I have it in writing. And then the last thing is I wanted to propose that this application be considered falsified when it says that it comply with all setback and design criteria. And I've submitted the documents to show you that because it's within 1,000 feet of a subdivision of record. But it states in the application that it will comply with the setback and design criteria.
Chris, will
My only thing to add is that the protections with respect to 401 is for the supervisors to have the information in plenty of time to conduct the hearing, and that's why there's waiver provisions.
That's why what?
That's why the board can waive, if a deadline is missed if it wants to go forward.
I mean,
The board is free to do what it wants to do.
I have a hard time understanding why a letter dated May 2nd was received in the afternoon of June 3rd.
you have asked the applicant?
I mean,
It's our position that we sent it on May 2nd. We don't have proof here that we think we approved back at Crown's headquarters that we sent it on May 2nd.
if you send it to both the township and our engineer on May 2nd, why?
I don't believe that we would send it to your engineer. I believe we send the documents to the township.
I never received anything.
I don't know.
When I say